Hello and welcome back. And if you're new here, I'm David Mark Thomas. I'm a session guitarist based out of the UK, and today we're going to look at soloing. This video is aimed at people that obviously want to try and connect the dots to try and succeed more with their soloing and try and get across what they're trying to say. There's going to be a lot in this video, so we'll cover as much as we can. Let's get into it. So I will start by saying I am a self-taught guitarist. Hopefully a lot of my messages come across. I'm not an music educator by any stretch of the imagination, but I have been playing professionally for years. I will try my very best to pass on the knowledge that I do have. Okay, so part one is the minor pentatonic scale. We don't want to waste too much time. Like I say, I'm not going to get too bogged down in theory, but the minor pentatonic scale is a 5-note scale. I'm going to use A minor pentatonic for this example. And it starts on the 5th fret on the E string. This is the first position of the A minor pentatonic scale. So the 5 notes, those are your 5 notes. So your full A minor pentatonic shape will look like this. If you're looking at tablature wise, it is 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 8, 5, 8. The good thing about this shape is once you have this shape memorized, you can move it anywhere on the neck, and whatever the first note is, it becomes that key. So I started on the A, on the 5th of the E string, so E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. If I moved it down to 2 steps, then it would be G minor. If I moved it up 2, then it would be B minor. I won't get into like licks and things. However, here's an example of how you can use just that one box in A minor pentatonic. I'm not going to use any tracks or anything. I'm just going to kind of show you. That's me just trying to not use any influence on the style that I'm playing or any other extra flair. That is just to show you what you can do with that box. So with that knowledge now, you can go onto YouTube, you can type in an A minor backing track, and you can just start playing with those notes. And you can start to see what notes feel better against certain chords. Usually a 12-bar blues is a good one to start with because they usually have the same chord structure. So try that out, give that a go. Part 2 is the major scale. So the major scale is made up of 7 notes. We're going to use C major. So we've got this shape here. You can obviously play it anywhere on the neck, but there's a reason why I'll teach you it here, and I'll explain that in a second. So you've got C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then your octave C. The reason why I'm teaching it here is because it's harder to kind of improvise in this shape. Okay, so you're looking at the notes all work. But you're looking at more saxophone player, vocalist phrases, which is fantastic, and we'll move on to that later. But like I say, there's a reason why I'm teaching you this position here. It's because of part 3. And part 3 is minor and major relative keys. So every minor key has a relative major. So for instance, I've paired these two together because they're the same thing. So you've got A minor, which is the relative minor to C major. And without getting too complicated, basically just means they have exactly the same notes within the same key. And you might ask, well, the A minor has only 5 notes in it, but the major has 7. You can still use those C major notes in the A minor. The A minor pentatonic just gives you a good standard to start with, to start soloing. So say for instance you find a backing track that's not in A minor, it's in C major. You can still play A minor, but you'll have a more friendly note to end on. So say your chord sequence starts on A minor. You're going to want to try and end on the A. So, well, it's the most friendly note to end on. So if you're going... If the chord sequence starts with C, you're going to get more of that John Mayer-y kind of major influence to it, but you're still playing the same shape. But if you notice, I'm trying to land on that C. Because although it's exactly the same shape that I'm using the A minor pentatonic shape. This is what I call the keys to the Skoda, not the Lamborghini. But basically, this opened up a whole world of opportunities for me when I understood this. And the way that you find out all of the keys and all of the relative minor major keys is just very simple. And when I worked this out for myself, like I say, I am self-taught, so it took me a while. But essentially, you've got your A minor. If you move it up by 3, so you've got B flat, B, C, that's your relative major. Same if you want to find your relative minor. Obviously, what you would do is, let's just take any key, D major. You could just knock it down 3, so you've got C sharp, C, B minor. So if I just jam on a D major, so... And then I'm going to use the B minor pentatonic scale to kind of embellish it, okay? So... That's how you get that sound. And yeah, I mean, most people know this, but for me, because I was self-taught, I didn't really have the internet at the time, it was a bit of just a light bulb moment. Okay, so part 4 is extending your minor pentatonic scale. Now, technically, you've already started doing this because you've got your A minor pentatonic and you've got your C. So we're going to extend that major scale, okay? So we've got... That's how I would extend it, okay? So you've got... So there's only actually a few gaps to actually fill in now. And it's a little bit in this area. So, I mean, you can learn the A minor pentatonic positions, but to be honest, you don't be sat learning too many shapes or licks or anything like that, because it's just gonna get you bogged down in learning, like... That just came out of me, and that's what you want to try and get out of this, is not trying to basically fast track and taking that lick and trying to move it everywhere else. It's just that you want to try and get it to a point where it's just coming out of you, and that's, you know, what we're trying to do. So we've got this little patch here, because what we've done is when we've gone from the C, we've actually missed out these two here. So what we're doing is we're going to take our A minor pentatonic and we're going to move up. So we're going to take this little box here. That is the extension, okay? But if you start to incorporate and you learn... If you start to incorporate and learn that major scale up to that point, you know all the notes are correct. So... there it is. And with that, those extra notes in C major, there are actually some of those notes within your minor pentatonic box. So what notes have we got in the C major scale? So we've got C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then C. So in A minor pentatonic, we've got A, C, D, E, G, and then we've got the A. There are some notes in between that we can add into our box. Okay, so we've got A, we've got the B that we can add from that C major scale. So we've got B, C, D, we've got E, we've got F. It's a bit of a flavour, but you can use F, G, and A again. So here we've got the same thing. If we go from the bottom, we've got C, B, A, then we've got G, that F again, which is the flavour one, E, D, C, B, back to the A. So we're looking now at this shape here. Okay, so now you've got, hopefully at this point you'll be able to get a lot of that under your fingers, so you can start playing little licks. Like, I'm trying to use a mix of both so you could see how you can use them, but I'm trying not to use as many embellishments because the next part is fundamentals. So soloing fundamentals, things like hammer-ons, pull-offs, bends, blah, 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 blah. Let's take a deep dive into all of them. We're going to start with hammer-ons and pull-offs, okay? So hammer-ons are like this. So when you play a note, hammer on with one of your fingers. Usually it's your third finger. I just use my little finger just as an example, but I mean really you're looking at using your strongest next finger that's available. You could use that one, but it's just hard on your wrist. So usually this works out quite well because you need to get quite a good hammer on it. And pull off is exactly the same thing, but when you're on that note, you're pulling off from the strong finger that you've hammered down. So you can go, and you need to pick that note first. So if you just want to do a pull off, it's, and a bunch of hammer-ons and pull-offs together. You can, get some really fast lines using hammer-off and pull-off. You can get some really cool sounding lines with just pull-off. So there's that. Practice those. You can obviously hone your skills on there. Bending. Now bending is a difficult one. It's pitch related. So you can bend quite far. So you can start to see my fingers going underneath my strings then. Sometimes I would bend that far, but realistically you only really need to be, for now, looking at bending to 2 frets up accurately, okay? So when I say that, you can pick your pitch note that you're aiming for. So in A minor pentatonic, the next step up, for instance, here on the B string, so we're going for, if we could run down the shape. So we're aiming for that note when we bend from here. So we're going. And at first, I would try to say, try not to vibrato. I mean, I've just been so used to playing now by adding embellishments myself, I can't help but do it. But you can just try and... good thing is with bending is that you can, if you feel you're flat or sharp, you can kind of feel it and try and get there. So, for instance, if we take... See, I'm going to purposely try and do it flat, okay? So you can try and get there without having to change too much. You don't have to pick again. You can just go... Some people have bending styles, so you can go quite slow into the bend. You can go quite fast into the bend. You can go into the bend and use vibrato. You can hammer on and then bend into the same note. Okay, sliding. So sliding is just sliding from one note to the other. So if we're using the A minor pentatonic scale, we can slide from the G to the A. So you can do it both ways. It's quite self-explanatory, that one. Just get your accuracy on it. I'm not amazing at it. I just do it when I obviously need to. But okay, so we're going to look at what I call the shake, which is like a vibrato thing, but it's kind of a bass technique. So it's like... That's a very exaggerated version of it, but some people, and including myself, I would like to just go... Or you can use it quite exaggerated, so... that kind of vibe. Then you've got things like double stops, which are just basically using two notes at a time. I'm using all the notes in the A minor pentatonic scale here. Ghost notes. So ghost notes are kind of like, it's hard. They're really hard to explain because it's something that you kind of feel. So if I'm going... It's all that nothing stuff. So I'm just muting on my left hand and I'm... all that stuff. Then you've got some picking styles, so like hybrid picking I use a lot. So this is when you use your pick and your fingers together. If you can kind of see here, I sometimes will tuck my pick away. I know Matteo Sasato does this quite a lot. You've got it available then to, you know... which is cool, but yeah, I use this all the time. So if I'm taking a solo... One last thing I want to mention that people actually take the piss out of me for is switching pickups. I know certain licks sound or will sound fluid kind of before, so it's hard to explain because I play pretty much off the cuff. I mean, I don't really know what I'm going to play before I play it, but I know what pickup I want to be on for certain licks. So anything fluid, I want to be on the neck pickup. So I want to be like, it's kind of hard to explain because I'm using quite low gain at the minute, but... if I use more gain, maybe I'll be able to explain what I do. Give it a go, because there are different sounds out there that work for different things. Okay, next one is speed. Now, I don't want to harp on too much about speed, because it's something I don't even think that I have, but I just have kind of emotion when I'm playing and enough passion in it that I can be perceived to be fast sometimes. I don't know. I don't really know what I'm doing when I'm trying to be fast, although I do have a couple of tips that can help. So I often use, so say for instance we're in this A minor pentatonic. I will use chromatic notes. Chromatic notes are just notes that are in between on the scale. You wouldn't necessarily land on them, but you can use them to help benefit, obviously, your playing. So if we're just using there, C sharp, I wouldn't use that, but I could pass it en route to the C, for instance. So, and that's one way to perceive to be fast, I don't know. But then there's other ways, like groups of five, like Eric Johnson is. And you can use that, obviously, all over the neck, whatever key that you're in. But you don't want to just be doing groups of five up and down the neck. You just want to try and obviously use that in your playing. The next thing is really just combining the dots, like, so just burning through that pentatonic scale. Next part, I would say, isn't as important, but I would say I would learn how to do this, is to use how to play solos with your fingers. Become kind of independent. You don't have to obviously have a finger per string, but just learn how to do it, because recently I've started playing solos without a pick and just tucking it away, and you can really go crazy with it, and you don't lose that speed really, as long as you practice. And you can really, really get dynamic with your playing. This is what you're working towards, essentially, is just being able to improvise over anything. This works for a lot of the stuff. There's obviously gaps in this, things like modes and just other things that are worth mentioning. But for the most part, this will get you going for soloing over basic songs and things like that. It's worth doubling down, learning these shapes and going over them, so you can play over songs, play over backing tracks, jam with a band, and you can start getting your solos there. And at the end of the day, the majority of your solo is made up of your personality, and that's using things like your bending techniques, your slides and hammer-ons and everything like that. Anyway, if you can always like the video and subscribe to the channel, that would be fantastic. Hopefully I'll be able to make more long form videos like this in the future. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. For now, take care and all the best.